I've watched that video countless times, and it sure looks like Brittney Griner says, white girl.
The WNBA's heralded new dawn, carried on the shoulders of Caitlin Clark, now finds itself uncomfortably illuminated by a deeply troubling allegation. Did Brittney Griner, a league stalwart, truly direct the phrase, "that white girl," towards the rookie sensation in a moment of on-court frustration? Just as the league was basking in the glow of unprecedented attention and financial uplift brought by Clark, a tempest of hypocrisy and thinly veiled jealousy has erupted. At the heart of this storm stands Griner, whose recent actions and words seem to paint a picture of someone viewing Clark's record-shattering impact not as the league's salvation, but as some kind of unbearable crisis.
Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. She says WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score, like we're there for their entertainment. You are. The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some.
The initial signs were perplexing, almost surreal. Griner, a veteran accustomed to far more modest crowds, began to voice complaints about the very enthusiasm Clark ignited. "Every time we play her, there's this commotion," she was quoted, describing the thousands of dedicated fans who now sit there watching on purpose as very disruptive. She even appeared to wax nostalgic for a bygone era where WNBA games were supposedly chill, quiet places, where one could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. This strange yearning for near-empty arenas, contrasted with the vibrant, packed stadiums Clark commanded, was a jarring disconnect. The notion that fans showing up, yelling, and expecting entertainment was an unfair pressure was, to many, utterly baffling. You are, after all, professional athletes paid to entertain.
To be honest with you folks, the WNBA already set a precedent. It doesn't matter what Brittney Griner said. It doesn't matter what Brittney Griner said, because they've already shown us they don't need evidence, they don't need substance, they don't need any type of proof at all to launch a bogus investigation into Indiana Fever fans, so they shouldn't need any substance, any basis, any evidence to launch an investigation into any other fan, any other player, any other group. The WNBA set.
Into this brewing discontent steps Stephen A. Smith, the undisputed heavyweight champion of sports commentary, a man whose pronouncements carry the force of a 5-alarm fire. He's not just offering a hot take, he's delivering a full-blown indictment. While others tiptoed around the sensitivities, Smith has been unequivocally shouting Clark's monumental value from every available platform. Now, any semblance of polite discourse from him has been jettisoned. He is locked in, thoroughly fed up, and poised to deliver a verbal smackdown of epic proportions, targeting what he perceives as the pervasive delusion and self-sabotage within the league. As he bluntly stated, the WNBA has already demonstrated a willingness to launch investigations on flimsy pretexts, particularly concerning Indiana Fever fans. Therefore, he argues, they shouldn't require mountains of evidence to scrutinize any other player or group, especially when video evidence of Griner's alleged remarks is circulating widely.
Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about. Especially something like this. Fans in every sport. She described the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act in every arena.
This volcanic eruption from Stephen A. is not a sudden impulse. It's the culmination of months, perhaps even years, of him observing the WNBA's perplexing inability to fully embrace its most significant opportunity in decades. He sees a league teetering on the brink of squandering its golden goose because a faction of players, and shockingly, even some front office figures, appear unable to stomach the reality that one rookie, through sheer talent and charisma, has single-handedly flipped the entire narrative. For Smith, this transcends mere basketball strategy. It's a case study in organizational malpractice. The irony of someone like Griner, who was the beneficiary of a significant diplomatic effort to secure her freedom from a Russian prison, now complaining about the vibrancy of American sports crowds, was not lost on him or many observers. Such fan behavior, as Smith correctly points out, is the lifeblood of every successful sporting league across the globe.
We know this. Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from the year earlier. 319%. 319%. All other teams still grew by double-digit percentages. So let's not forget that. But they didn't grow by 319%. That was Caitlin Clark, which means she's largely responsible for the overall league attendance records. Merchandise sales were also up 450% for the WNBA, according to Fanatics, and Clark was the top-selling player and is fifth among athletes across all.
The statistical evidence of Clark's impact is so overwhelming, it borders on the absurd, and Stephen A. has been diligently presenting these facts. League-wide attendance didn't just inch up, it exploded by nearly 50% upon Clark's arrival. Her team, the Indiana Fever, witnessed an astronomical 319% surge in average home attendance, consistently pulling in over 17,000 fans, figures previously unimaginable for most WNBA franchises. While other teams did experience growth, their numbers paled in comparison to the Caitlin Clark effect, and the financial windfall extended beyond ticket sales. Merchandise sales for the WNBA, facilitated by Fanatics, skyrocketed by an incredible 450%. Clark herself wasn't just a popular player. She became the top-selling athlete in the league, impressively ranking fifth among all athletes across all sports. This isn't just a player having a good season. This is a cultural phenomenon reshaping an entire league's economic landscape.
And this is the magnetic traction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that. Then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question. Yep. After she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
But perhaps the most undeniable proof of Clark's Midas touch lies in the television ratings. Games featuring Caitlin Clark this season are commanding an average viewership of a staggering 1.178 million. In stark contrast, games without her presence draw a comparatively meager 394,000 viewers. This isn't a small discrepancy, it's a 199% chasm, a canyon of difference so wide you could land a fleet of jets in it. Simply put, Clark-led games attract nearly 3 times the audience. Her regular season debut game pulled in 2.7 million viewers on ABC, making it the most-watched WNBA game ever across all ESPN platforms. This isn't coincidence, it's pure, unadulterated Caitlin. As Stephen A. presciently warned, should there be a precipitous drop-off in ratings during her injury-enforced absence, then everybody needs to stand down and unequivocally accept her singular, transformative power. Recent reports have only validated his stance. WNBA ratings are soaring to unprecedented heights, a success story inextricably linked to Clark's magnetic appeal.
And also, news just came out. Ratings are higher than it's ever been for the WNBA.
Yeah.
Congrats to Caitlin Clark. It's crazy how that works.
I mean, what are you going to do? Proof's in the pudding, kind
Get a girl out of Iowa.
Exactly.
Who can pull up from the state next door.
Yeah.
And light up an entire arena, every arena.
This then begs the question, why the palpable undercurrent of resentment from certain segments within the league? Stephen A. Smith has offered a blunt, unvarnished theory. You got people that are resentful towards her, but not she. It's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. He acknowledges the historical context where many exceptionally talented black female athletes dedicated years to the WNBA, often in relative obscurity, without receiving this level of mainstream adulation or shine. Then, Caitlin Clark, the Golden Goose, arrives and almost overnight captivates the national consciousness, bringing with her unprecedented media coverage, lucrative endorsements, chartered flights for teams, and those eye-popping ratings. For Smith, the resentment isn't solely about Clark's individual success, but the uncomfortable questions her rise poses about past opportunities and recognition, especially as a young white star in a predominantly black league.
Clark. Now I've taken hits because I was calling it from day one. You got people that are resentful towards her, but it's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. Before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shine. This girl, the Golden Goose, comes along and she wreaks havoc. She's the Rookie of the Year. She's 4th in the league in MVP voting. 4th in the league, her rookie.
This simmering tension arguably boiled over during that intense game between the Indiana Fever and the Atlanta Dream. Video footage quickly went viral, capturing a visibly frustrated Brittney Griner after fouling out. In the heat of the moment, she appeared to direct a dismissive comment, interpreted by numerous lip readers as trash, followed by the far more inflammatory effing white girl aimed at Caitlin Clark. The clip spread like wildfire across social media, igniting a furious debate and widespread accusations of double standards, particularly given Griner's own recent, highly publicized return to the United States following her detention in Russia. For many, the alleged racist undertones of the comment were deeply offensive and reflected poorly on both the player and the league she represents.
When it was really all said and done, we know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because
what poured gasoline on this already raging fire and truly ignited Stephen A. Smith's righteous indignation was the WNBA's initial perplexing response, or rather, its profound lack of one. Despite the video evidence trending globally and a deluge of public outrage persisting for nearly 36 critical hours, the league maintained a conspicuous silence, offering no official comment nor announcing any formal investigation into Griner's alleged remarks. This stood in stark, glaring contrast to the league's immediate and decisive action when claims surfaced about Fever fans allegedly directing racist remarks towards Chicago Sky's Angel Reese. In that instance, the WNBA launched a full investigation that spanned nearly 2 weeks. This apparent disparity in response, this deafening quiet in the face of clear video evidence implicating one of its own prominent players, spoke volumes to critics about the league's priorities, potential biases, and glaring double standards.
He said Brittney Griner, who Biden traded for the Merchant of Death, called Caitlin Clark the white female referee trash, effing white girls after getting fouled out. So that was Bobby Borak. He stated that on Twitter today, I believe. Watch this. So this is the call here, guys.
So the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Throughout this saga, Stephen A. Smith has positioned himself as Caitlin Clark's most prominent and vociferous public advocate. You see why I have no problem with her being Time's Athlete of the Year, he declared emphatically after Clark received the honor. You see why I said she should have been on Team USA. You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly dismissive of her. He has consistently pushed back against what he views as unwarranted criticism and negativity, emphasizing the undeniable upward trajectory Clark has gifted the entire league. His message has been consistent and clear. Ride the wave. A rising tide lifts all boats. The girl is spectacular. While acknowledging the understandable frustrations of veteran players who feel their contributions were historically undervalued, Smith firmly insists that Clark is a legitimate star-caliber talent whose immense drawing power is a boon for everyone in the WNBA.
And what I was saying to everybody is ride the wave. Rising tide lifts all boats. The girl is spectacular. It's not like she's not a scrub. She's not only can play she's a star caliber player who draws this attention. And maybe it's because that fan base that she has and her being a young white lady contributes to it. So what? Benefit from it. And then you have a lot of folks that have come to the defense of numerous WNBA players because they were pointing out, like, this has been going on before long and people are not hating on her. It's not about hating on her. It's that you feel she is getting a level of attention that you deserved and you warranted long before she ever came along. It's understandable.
The tangible financial cost of Clark's absence provides irrefutable evidence of her indispensable value. Consider the Washington Mystics game. Before Clark's quad strain injury was announced, the cheapest available ticket was a respectable $41. The moment news broke that she wouldn't be playing, that same cheapest ticket plummeted to an almost unbelievable $3. This isn't a minor fluctuation. It's a market crash directly attributable to one player's availability. Even in a tough loss, Clark's final game before her injury still managed to attract an impressive 2.22 million viewers on CBS, securing its place as the network's second highest-rated WNBA game in history. These are not just abstract statistics. They represent real dollars, real interest, and real momentum. The Indiana Fever's subsequent 3-game losing streak following her injury only further highlighted her critical on-court contributions. Beyond just her box office appeal,
just in the short amount of time that I watched, I remember back a while back before Caitlin was in this, of all these female professional players bitching about not getting paid what the men do, and then it was made clear that when you have the draw, when you can bring in the money, the revenue, the advertising dollars, then you'll get paid more money. Caitlin Clark has made that happen for the entire league, but these girls are doing everything in their power to destroy the golden goose that benefits them as a collective. And the referees, it looks like somebody has paid these high school referees to basically ignore any foul.
What seems to truly infuriate Stephen A. Smith, and what has him so animated, is the conviction that this entire situation, this undercurrent of negativity, and the potential for alienating a burgeoning fan base was entirely preventable. When a league is blessed with a player who is single-handedly shattering viewership records, filling arenas to capacity, and fundamentally altering the entire public conversation around women's basketball, the absolute top priority should be to protect and nurture that asset. He argues vehemently that the league should not tolerate opponents engaging in overly aggressive, borderline dangerous physical play against her without imposing serious, swift repercussions. And certainly, it should not turn a blind eye or offer a muted response when one of its own players is caught on video allegedly directing racial slurs, an issue that demands immediate and thorough investigation. In Smith's view, the WNBA has, at times, treated its most valuable star like just another player, failing to fully grasp the magnitude of the phenomenon she represents and the special considerations her status warrants.
You can definitely argue that the WNBA has been taking a hit ever since Caitlin Clark has been hurt, right? And you can also argue that the Indiana Fever have taken a hit since Caitlin Clark has been hurt, because this is bad. Right here isn't a surprise, though. The cheapest Fever ticket before Caitlin Clark's injury was $41. Without Caitlin Clark, it's $3. Now, that is crazy. The Indiana Fever have been on a 3-game losing streak ever since Caitlin got hurt.
In fact, ticket sales are down 70% in many places. The Fever played the Mystics 2 nights ago. The cheapest ticket before her injury was announced was $41, okay? The cheapest one. After her injury was announced and people knew that she wasn't going to be playing, the lowest ticket price dropped to $3. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. The WNBA doesn't quite realize what they have in Caitlin Clark. She is the absolute golden goose, the golden ticket. She is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They must
Now, as Caitlin Clark sits on the sidelines and the raw data reflecting her absence begins to accumulate, from ticket sales to TV ratings to general media buzz, Stephen A. Smith is effectively taking a victory lap, albeit a somber one, with an "I told you so" that will likely resonate for years to come. The WNBA, he contends, had its savior, its lightning in a bottle, a once-in-a-generation talent capable of elevating the entire sport to unprecedented heights. Yet, according to Smith, they've fumbled, hesitated, and allowed internal politics or latent jealousies to cloud their judgment, ultimately taking her and her impact for granted. They had a chance to fully embrace their golden goose, and instead, they seem to be pecking at its feathers. Now, the league is about to get a stark, unfiltered look at what life is like without her driving force, a harsh reality Stephen A. Smith has been tirelessly warning them about for months. The question that hangs heavy in the air is whether they will finally heed the lesson before this golden opportunity irretrievably slips through their fingers.